right. Gotta turn this down so I can play the Dana Loesch thing. Blaze TV, if you don't ever check it out. I don't watch a lot of anything. A couple of shows that I watch on regular network TV or whatever. I'm kind of shying away from it. But anyway, political TV I don't spend a lot of time watching. But this was pretty good. So let me push the right buttons and click the right things, and we will have a listen to Dana, and then we'll listen and then we'll react.
You know what? If you have a problem with being called the godless left, maybe don't be the godless left. You do realize that in the wake of this terrorist attack, when people were saying our thoughts and our prayers are with those who are affected in the San Bernardino terror attack, you had the New York Daily News and you had elected officials and you had journalists mocking people who were simply asking for prayers, mocking them. Saying, well, we're so glad that the GOP can save everybody from ISIS with their prayers. Here's an idea. How about you guys stop letting terrorists in? How about you guys stop supporting policies that reduce the criteria for unvetted foreigners to get visas to come into this country? Because you all have blood on your hands right now. It wasn't the NRA that made the rule that said we're not allowed to look at the social media activity of people who are unvetted and coming from hotbed areas of terrorism like Tashfeen Malik. I don't know if people missed Government 101 and how all of this works, but that was actually Jay Johnson at the Department of Homeland Security. And by the way, he upheld that rule in 2014. It wasn't Wayne LaPierre. See, Wayne LaPierre is an older white guy. Jay Johnson is a younger black man, and he works with DHS. Wayne LaPierre is at the NRA. Maybe you guys are illiterate and you don't know what all the letters stand for, but the NRA is made up of millions of people who are just like me, and we want to fellowship and protect our Second Amendment rights. We don't make policy decisions, and we sure as hell don't work at DHS.
Okay, it's like 4.5 minutes long, but it was the Christian component we were going to speak of, and you had something to piggyback.
Yeah, we talked about this in the pre-show where, did it disappear? Hold on, I got it. Yeah, this was, I just couldn't believe this. On Friday, the nation's largest gay rights organization, the Human Rights Campaign, HRC, released a chilling report that investigates a disturbing trend of religious colleges taking legal measures to exercise their religious liberty using waivers available to them under Title IX. Basically, it's castigating religious colleges who have the opening already written into law to say, we're religious. Gee, who'd have thunk it? Religious colleges being religious. And many religious colleges adhere to the Judeo-Christian faith. Homosexuality is not a good thing in Christianity. Well, HRC gets rather militant, and so once again we see the attack from the other side of the left going after people who just want to live their faith. And, you know, as Dana was saying that, this happened all, right after, almost the day after, and for the next 3 days after San Bernardino, where you saw all these people going after those people of faith, those people who just wanted to solemnize, hey, a tragedy just happened, a moment of silence. When Ben Carson called for that at the debate, a lot of the media went after him for that in very snarky tweets. And basically trying to say that was more of a political stunt than maybe what it really was, knowing who Ben Carson is and what his faith is just, hey, a moment of silence, please. A little bit of respect. But we see that the left has no respect for those who have faith. Just because, well, we all know, based on lots of polls that have been taken, that the left is more godless. Dana Loesch is right. The left pretty much is atheistic, or certainly doesn't have or hold to a religious theology that mirrors that of the evangelicals or other regular Orthodox Christianity. I didn't want to say mainline Christianity because many of those denominations have gone off the rails themselves. And I've written about that for a long time as well. But I was watching the Kelly Report, and Frank Luntz was doing one of his focus groups, And one of the big questions was, do you feel, are you scared for this country? And a big part of that audience said, this country is changing and not for the better. I don't recognize this country anymore. We are going off the rails. And it is the constant din from the left that is basically saying anything that made this country great is now anathema. And we're made to feel that way. And I think it is the push to be able to say, just like when the Tea Party started, Glenn Beck famously said, "You are not alone." And the Tea Party exploded, a good way of exploding. And I think we're seeing that attack vein again from the left, trying to make us isolated, make us feel alone. And I'm glad that Dana said what she did. I think a lot of people have, but I'm glad to see that she put the right amount of self-righteousness into it. Look, what does that say about the left when you can't even leave people of faith alone? And we all know the media are mere Democrats with bylines, and we know that almost all Democrats nowadays are progressives, and we all know that pretty much progressive is just code word for I'm a big socialist.
It's just another thing that they're against. They everything they oppose, they attack relentlessly, and it doesn't stop until they win. And people want to just live their lives.
It doesn't stop when they win.
Well, no, it doesn't. But it becomes institutionalized, and then everything else is forced underground, which is entirely the point. Constitutional rights, religious beliefs, free speech. These are all things that they'll provide, that they'll give lip service to win an office if they feel they need to kiss their constituents' backsides. But they don't want it because it interferes with what they want, which is complete control by government. They get to do whatever they want, whenever they want, and say whatever they want, and control everybody's lives. And that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. Let me finish the rest of the piece because it's pretty short. In the eyes of the HRC, the constitutional rights, again, the constitutional rights of a religious school to remain faithful to its doctrinal views on sexuality and sexual complementariness should be subjugated to the expressive and sexual identity of prospective students. In their view, moral condemnation of homosexuality or transgender identity is tantamount to discrimination, and therefore Christian schools should not be treated so tolerantly under federal law. With the wind at its back, however, the HRC is capitalizing on legal and cultural shifts in believing it can single out and intimidate, again, the left intimidates you to be silent, those Christian schools which, surprise, believe and act according to Christian traditions. Most of these colleges...
Where is this, by the way?
This is at National Review Online.
I got to send this to some people.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are like, I have friends who have gay relatives, and they had, this and that and the other thing, and they're all like, they just want to be, allowed to do the same things and to be left alone. And I'm like, no, they don't.
No.
They want you to do what they want. They're never going to leave you alone.
They don't want you to merely let them do what they want. They want you to actively approve of their lifestyle. There are lots of quiet gay people in the world.
Oh, hell yeah.
That just get on with their lives, that you either don't notice that they're gay or that they're so inoffensive about how they lead their lives. And I don't mean
their private lives.
I don't mean they're shrinking violets. They may show up with their boyfriend or girlfriend as appropriate, and you get used to seeing them. But they don't rub your face in it. And that's the whole difference. The militants want to rub your face in it, want you to approve of them while they're rubbing your face in it. And that is why they get resistance and then they get angry. Somebody who just wants to be left alone, like the rest of us want to be left alone by them, isn't militant enough for them.
You know why the left loves Islam right now and why they refuse to attack Islam? We hear all the time that Islam is the religion of peace. Well, I'm sorry, but actual reality says it's not, especially with the militant Islamists. But Islam really means submission. Now, think about that for just a moment. Submission. Submission means you will do what we say when we tell you to do it. Here, the HRC is doing the same thing. It's nothing more than secular Islam. You will submit to our demands, and no, you should not speak up and defend yourselves, and no, you should not depend on your secular rights. We are a secular religion that is telling you, here is your morality, shut up and submit.
Right. So the HRC, as opposed to that other HRC that hopefully will lose the election, the HRC is a perfect bedfellow for CARE, for example, the Islamic Front organization.
Yeah.
Except for one thing. They'll be the first up against the wall when the revolution comes. Because if the Sharia law folks, if the jihadis ever get control, then all those gay rights people will be thrown off the top of buildings.
Yeah, as we are seeing in Iran and other areas where ISIS is in control. And this is what drives me crazy. You hear the feminists complaining about misogynic men supposedly here in the United States and in the Western world, and yet you go over to the Middle East where misogyny is more the norm than not, and they say nothing.
No,
they say nothing. The gays here in America, where this is the biggest area where gay rights is being pushed. If you're really going to go against what's really bad, why aren't you over in the Middle East trying to save your gay brethren
and your female brethren and your children and and there are black people over there being oppressed? I mean, that's the
worse
problem.
Than they are than here.
Yeah, because Arabs are Arabs and black people are slaves.
The emperor's never had clothes on this argument. They don't care about women or children or gays or any organization or group or section or whatever, unless they do exactly what they want them to do. So it's not about any of that. It's not about being female or transgendered or homosexual or a child. It's about doing what the socialists want you to do under no uncertain terms. You will follow our dictates. Otherwise, you have no rights.
Yeah. And again, we see yet another area of life where they're not trying to win the hearts and minds of individual people and getting real community support. They're going to go after the politicians to demand their views and their demands put into statutes to control the lives of others.
Right, and just as will happen if we're not careful with hate speech in Islam in the near future. It's happened in Canada. Mark Stein has written about it. He's basically a fugitive. Mark Stein in Maclean's magazine, over an article that he wrote that was mildly critical of Islam, in fact pointed out essential truths, truths, caused the Hitman, the magazine, to be sued, and it was a long, ongoing, and drawn-out process by the human rights councils, I think, in various states around, or provinces around Canada.
And he's still embroiled in yet another free speech imbroglio here in the United States because he went after Hockey Stick Man and the gay religion.
Yeah.
So, the left does not believe in free expression.
Well, the God of the left says, "L'état c'est moi." I am the state. Strangely enough, Muhammad says, "L'état c'est moi."
Yeah,
I am the state and the law.
There's nothing strange about that. Okay, we got about 20 seconds before we take our break. We will be back in the next segment, probably talk about some debates. There's a little heard of Democrat debate tonight that we can talk about, but obscure.
There's a GOP trying to blow itself up.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
so
I've
much,
made a decision I should reveal on live stream here.
All right, we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
From the CNHT studios in Concord, New Hampshire, just a few blocks from the New Hampshire State House, this is
Raw Talk.